Hello everybody, I'm Cassidy. I am the HippieCatholic. Welcome to my channel. If you're new here, please subscribe to be part of the conversation. So I'm filming outside today because you know what, like I needed to, give my neighbors a break. They probably won't give me a break. I wanted to film this in June, but I was having a many existential crisis in June, so that didn't work out. And besides, Pride is every month of the year, so I really wanted to make this video because LGBTQ issues are really important to me. It's part of why I made this platform. I'm an LGBTQ ally, that means I'm a straight girl, but I am really involved in activism involving the LGBTQ community, so, and I identify as Catholic. Really, this platform kind of explores, like, a lot of my Catholic identity. Definitely, it explores, how I relate my, LGBTQ affirming advocacy with my Catholic faith. I wanted to focus on resources that haven't been denounced by the Vatican because unfortunately Dignity USA, which was like the original queer Catholic group, was denounced, unfortunately. Please excuse the mower. These resources that I'm going to be including are organizations, outreach programs, and books. I'm going to be honest with you here about church teaching. I'll include a link to an article from America Magazine, which is run by Father James Martin, who I've had the pleasure to meet with and chat with, and he's an amazing priest. And he's an amazing ally to the church and the LGBTQ community. I'll put that article in the description box below, and it kind of goes over the church's official stance on LGBTQ issues. Church teaching on LGBTQ issues isn't quite as problematic as some of the evangelical stances, but it also, in my opinion, is not ideal. Catholic teaching makes it clear that being gay as an orientation is not sinful, which is good, but instead it concludes that same-sex acts are sinful, so queer people are called to be celibate. Yeah, I know. The Catechism also teaches that LGBTQ people should never be discriminated against and should be treated with compassion and sensitivity. It's kind of paradoxical in many ways. You know, this is my opinion as a Catholic, and this is the opinion of many Catholics. I do not have the authority to change church teaching. I never have claimed to have that authority. I'm just a Catholic girl, and I am, sharing my spiritual journey and my life with you guys here. So if I get any pushback about like, oh, you're not being honest about church teaching, like I've provided resources about the catechism and what the official church teaching is. And ultimately the church is responsible for her own actions, and if she wants there to be, changes, or she has to speak for herself. It's not up to me to speak for her. So I am dissenting a bit from the first bit of the teaching on homosexuality, but assenting to the second. I think that if an orientation in itself isn't sinful, then the acts shouldn't be sinful. I feel like that just kind of makes sense. But of course, I do not agree with any sort of discrimination, and I think that LGBTQ people should be treated with kindness and compassion. Unfortunately and hypocritically, in many Catholic institutions, LGBTQ people are still discriminated against, even if they are living according to the Catechism, which I just think is just really terrible. I mean, the teaching in itself, in my opinion, is terrible, but then you're going to still punish the people who are living according to your terrible teaching. It's just ridiculous to me. I do not believe that being gay is intrinsically disordered, and neither do modern mental health and medical professionals. The Catholic Church has always been embracing of science. Atheists, stop chortling. I can see the chortles. I'm not lying. Don't pull up the Galileo thing, because there was some Game of Thrones type BS that was going on behind the scenes with that, so not saying it was right, but I'm just saying. The Catholic Church is one of the earliest churches to embrace evolution, and a Catholic priest formulated, the Big Bang Theory, which I think is pretty cool. Even though the church teaching is what it is, I also don't want you to lose hope or give up on your Catholic spirituality if you are indeed Catholic. You belong just as much in the Catholic Church as a straight person, and there is discussion going on. I'm happy to say that there have been many synods which have been called, especially in Germany, discussing rewording the catechism to saying that homosexuality is differently ordered as opposed to intrinsically disordered.
The German Bishops' Conference says it'll assess church teaching on homosexuality, sexual morality, and the sacraments of ordination and marriage. The commitment comes at the beginning of a 2-year council by German church leaders. In the statement, the chairman of the Marriage and Family Commission of the German Bishops' Conference, Berlin's Archbishop Heinrich Hack, said the bishops agreed homosexuality is a, quote, normal form of human sexual identity. The comments come after hearing last week from invited medical specialists, theologians, and canon lawyers.
And I'll put some links to those articles that discuss that below as well in the description. So now let's get to the main course of this video. Time to talk about affirmative resources for LGBTQ Catholics. Resource number 1, Vine and Fig, and this includes their podcast Tabard in as well. Vine and Fig is a platform created by LGBTQ Catholics for LGBTQ Catholics and allies, which seeks to elevate the lives of queer Catholics and the intersectionality of their faith. And it is an affirming platform. That means they believe that being LGBTQ and being in a relationship that is queer is not sinful. I cannot hype up Vine and Fig enough. They're an amazing grassroots organization that has a lot of resources and support, so go check them out. Resource number 2, New Ways Ministries. I'm probably going to butcher these names because I always butcher names. New Ways Ministry is an LGBTQ advocacy group founded by Sister Jeannine Gramick and Father Robert Nugent. The group fights for LGBTQ rights in the church. The Vatican declared that New Ways Ministries does not speak officially for the church, but Sister Jeannine did receive support for her work by the Sisters of Loretto, whose members include Mother Teresa. So, you know, the Sisters of Loretto are a very prominent Catholic religious group. So yeah. Also, the documentary film In Good Conscience, Sister Jeannine Gramick's Journey of Faith by Barbara Rick details Sister Jeannine's decades of ministry and work with the LGBTQ community and the controversies surrounding it with the Vatican.
Lesbian and gay people have a rightful place in the church just like everyone else.
How does it feel to be the Galileo of the year 2000?
Well, I'm not sure I would say that I'm the Galileo.
We love Sister Jeannine here. Resource number 3, Just Love by Sister Margaret Farley. Sister Margaret Farley is a religious sister and a member of the Catholic Sisters of Mercy. She's a theologian and a professor of Christian ethics at Yale Divinity School. Her book, Just Love, affirms sex positivity as well as, you know, LGBTQ identity, and it's a really, really good read just for anybody who wants to cultivate like a healthy relationship with their own sexuality, whether that be like a queer sexuality or a straight one. Just Love is an amazing resource for you. While Farley's book does oppose certain church teachings and was renounced by the Vatican, unfortunately, because it dissented, the book also receives support from the Catholic Theological Society of America, which is a Catholic organization founded in 1946, which promotes studies and research in Catholic tradition and theology. Basically, I think that Just Love was renounced just because it dissented from church teaching, and it was, the renunciation had to do with that, like, you know, Farley doesn't, you know, speak for the church because she dissents from church teaching. But as we see here, it still did receive support in other Catholic circles. And despite Sister Farley dissenting from church teaching and Just Love, she remains a religious sister in good standing, to my knowledge. So yeah, resource number 4, Building a Bridge by Father James Martin. Building a Bridge caused a lot of controversy in Catholic circles, and I really don't understand why upon reading the book, because it doesn't even oppose church teaching.
After I show you what Father James Martin has been saying and doing, you'll understand why people are calling him the Rainbow Jesuit, or a wolf in sheep's clothing.
What the hell? What happened?
The King of Jerusalem!
Who's they?
The goddamn weebs! Take the sword!
Building a Bridge is a great starter book for any parish that wishes to start dialogue with LGBTQ folks. It's not particularly groundbreaking, but it does certainly start dialogue and is a great book for anybody looking to build a bridge.
What would you say to the parish priest who wants to step out in faith, step out in courage, and redefining how the church has interacted with the LGBTQ community.
Be not afraid, as Jesus said. I mean, the desire to do so is coming from God, right? So these feelings are basically God working through you. See the desire to respond to the LGBTQ person in the church as a holy thing, as a call from God, and say yes.
Father James Martin actually had an audience with Pope Francis discussing LGBTQ rights in the church, which is remarkable.
A friend of mine said, where he's meeting you in the Apostolic Palace in the library is where he meets diplomats and heads of state. And this is the public way that the Vatican has of sending a signal of support for you. And then I can say that meeting him was really a highlight of my life. Let's just say, I can't share too many of the details, very encouraging.
He did not get a talking to, despite what some trads are saying, that's a rumor. Father Martin was able to talk about LGBTQ rights as a pro-life issue to Pope Francis, and was advocating on their behalf, which I think is absolutely amazing. And is an amazing progress for LGBTQ rights. Love Father James Martin here. Moving on. Resource number 5, Aglow Chicago. This is for people obviously who live in Chicago like me. Aglow is an archdiocesan outreach program for gays and lesbians. It still does reinforce church teaching, but I've talked to people who have gone to those outreach programs, and there is a lot of like great community there. There's a lot of confidentiality there, discussing, you know, LGBTQ rights and issues and stuff. So like it's a safe space. Like Aglow is a safe space for you to go as an LGBTQ Catholic. I think that Aglow is a great place like to start, and it's another example of like the church's efforts to try to start dialogue. Every movement has to start somewhere, so I think we should remember that. There are more resources than the ones that I mentioned here. I know it can be frustrating for the LGBTQ community to feel affirmed and loved in their own church, but I want to repeat and emphasize that progress is happening, and I'm so excited that it's happening. It's slow, it's 2 steps forward, it's 1 step back, but it's happening. I'd suggest for any LGBTQ Catholics to check out their local parishes and bishops to see which congregations are the most inclusive, because as hard as it is to stay, the Catholic Church changes just by having you involved in a church community. Progress does sometimes come from the top down, and we definitely see that in the monarchical Catholic system we have. But change also comes from the bottom up as well, and I think that we need both in order to achieve real social justice in the church. And unfortunately, if you do not have any inclusive parishes near you that are Catholic, you are always affirmed and welcomed here at the HippieCatholic. Obviously, I don't do masses or anything, but I do have other spiritual activities like Lectio Divina meditations and rosary videos. Ultimately, this is a space for you to have community with people from around the world, and a place for you to connect with other LGBTQ Catholics and Catholic allies. You have gifts to offer the church, and you are fearfully and wonderfully made in the image of God. I will be having more content coming out soon, providing platforms for queer Catholics and allies to speak and share their spiritual talents with the world, because unfortunately they've been silenced in many places, and that's really, really a shame. I pray for all of you to stay safe, please wear a mask, speak up, be heard, and don't let it go. Your dignity is not a matter of opinion, it's inherent and objective. I love you, the Pope loves you, and God loves you. Thank you so much to my lovely patrons, Derek, Debbie, Peter, Kathleen, the Lutheran Ninja, and Jez. You guys are amazing. If you would like to support the work here I do on the HippieCatholic, I do have a Patreon account. I'm currently unemployed due to the pandemic, so any donation would help the platform out immensely. But if you're unable to donate, that's totally okay. You can still support what I'm doing by liking, subscribing, sharing, and just by commenting on my videos. I'd love to hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I am Cassidy. I am the HippieCatholic. God bless.